USA, USA, USA.
Let's go!
Yo.
You boys only have one song and it's 3 letters.
Let's go.
That's all we need, baby. Let's go!
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the PHNX Rising Show, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. I'm Ramon Chavez. We got taking it to the max, Max Simpson, and a jet-lagged Owain Evans. How you guys doing today?
I'm just feeling freaking great, man. Let's go!
Owain?
Way too much energy. We've had a long flight and a lot of beers.
Oh, man, what a game we saw today. U.S. gets the victory over Iran, 1-0. They move on to the knockout rounds to face none other than the Netherlands, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But what did you guys think of the game? And I was rough to watch the last few minutes, man, especially those 9 minutes of added time, stoppage time that they added. How are you feeling?
I think going into it, I said that it's incredibly ironic that this group stage and how we were going to advance, it didn't come down to Wales. It didn't come down to England. It came down to Iran, a team that we have a very difficult time playing against that team with a low block who sits in deep, who is incredibly difficult and doesn't give a lot of chances. And the fact that when we score in that first half, before halftime, everyone was like, yeah, we scored. And I'm thinking, this is where the stress begins because now we buckle in. We saw how U.S. played against Wales when they took the lead, where they sit off, where they don't go for the jugular. And that's what happens where you see the next 50, 60 plus minutes of we're going to sit back and just hold and defend for our lives. It was absolutely agonizing. I have 0 fingernails left to bite on, but we made it through. What a performance from a defensive effort. We could have been a bit more clinical in the offensive, which is pretty much what we've been saying all of this World Cup. But the U.S. has been the better team, and I know you're gonna disagree with me, Owen, but the U.S. has been a better team in every single one of their 3 matches. They did what they needed to. We're through. We're happening. Netherlands, very excited, very nervous, but my barometer of success going into this World Cup was getting out of the group stage and advancing to the round of 16. We did it. I'm a happy man. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm not sure I agree with you that they've been the entire the better teams, but I want to hear what Owen has to say because he was there. He saw the atmosphere.
Or on broader? Because today, I'll be honest, I did not watch 90% of the US games, so I have very little to add on that one, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So
on that first game, though,
if
you're talking about that, based on what Max had to say about the fact that US are better than West, I'm not sure they were, right? Don't get me wrong. Could the US have been up 2-3-0 at the break? Maybe they could have. But at the same time, you ended that game with 1 shot on target. 1 shot on target. Wales had more than that in the second half alone. We were a far better team in the second half. We could not bury our chances ultimately. We ended up getting back into the game thanks to an atrocious tackle by one of your defenders there, Walker Zimmerman. I'm not sure what on earth he was thinking.
We weren't either.
Yeah, no one seems to know really.
Explain
But hey, it is what it is. Look, I think that at the end of the day, you probably weren't the better team in that game. I'll also be perfectly frank and say I didn't watch your game against England either. I was on my way back from Khalifa International Stadium that night, having watched the Netherlands getting a draw against Ecuador. And speaking of that, you're going to have to play the Netherlands coming up very soon. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm sure enjoy it, boys. You most populous country in the tournament. You managed to get out of the group. Well done.
Stop it.
I'm just laughing because I can't unsee Elizabeth's comment.
I know.
Where it says you look like Paddington, and literally everything you said, I'm just too happy, and I'm laughing because
it's a marmalade.
amazing. You look like
I'd like to
Paddington.
apologize to Elizabeth there because I heard Elizabeth and thought of something else entirely. I'm not going to comment on that one.
I don't want to know. No, I understand where you're coming from. Where it's fair. The U.S. to me was a protagonist in all of their 3 games until they had the lead. And that's where I caveat it with, I think they were a better team, which I stand by, until they sit in and they let the other team dictate how the rest of the game goes. Because when they were winning against Wales, that first half was ours. The entire match against England, we were the protagonists. I really think you'd find people who are hard-pressed to say otherwise. Game against Iran today, We were the protagonists.
You ran, Max.
Damn,
Where did you run to?
We were
Just
taking this internally of how long it would take, and I rehearsed it on the car ride over, and I automatically slipped up. Iran, excuse me.
You should have heard these two on the car ride over.
And Jacob told us to bottle it just like Wales bottled their performance against England. But that's another time for another story. Here we go.
There's a lot of talk, but it's like, I swear to God, these Americans have just been making up narratives that make it feel like they're the underdogs somehow, that they're massively unfavored. I mean,
every other country has maybe 2-3 sports to choose from: soccer or football, rugby, and maybe basketball, whereas we have like 7 or 8 to choose from, and we advance. Let's go. Anyway, so we were the protagonists in all of our group stage matches until we take the lead. Very curious to see how they play going into the round of 16 against a Dutch team that I think they have their holes. I think they have a bit of vulnerability, but I mean, they have world-class talent. We'll see. Like, I'm kind of just at a loss of words trying to process everything we just watched for the last hour. Like, US has played, they faced a different opponent every single one of those 3 matches. Wales was very heavy on the counterattack, and they have a lot of talent offensively that people don't give them credit for. And they struck when they needed to. They're clinical. England was a very free-flowing attack where it was really one or loss in the midfield and 2 teams who just were going at it. And then you have Iran, where it was all about, can we break down a low block, which historically, especially in CONCACAF qualifying, US could not do, and they did it.
Yeah.
The Dutch is going to be an entirely different matchup, and we'll get into that a bit later, but it's just really crazy how the US has been a very, very, very kind of Jekyll and Hyde throughout this performance a bit, but I'm very happy with their performance overall. They have to be very clinical in the final third, but if you ask me unbiasedly, and I'm really trying to be unbiased here, how US performances was, we deserve a second place spot in the group. I think it's justified. I really think you'd have to be hard pressed to tell me otherwise. Yeah,
no, and I agree with you. I think Greg Berhalter has done a great job with this team. And, when you're in the group stages of a World Cup, you have to be a little bit cautious, because if you lose a game, then, now you're depending on other people, other results. And he was, he recognized that. He set up his team to make sure that they were not eliminated pretty early on. And they got the tie, against Wales. England, they did what they did. They got another tie there. And then they just kind of put everything on this last game where they knew they could take on Iran. But some other things I have an issue with, Gio Reyna, I think the substitutes do not create an impact as much as we all want them to do. And the U.S. has only scored twice. Now, that will get you out of the group, I guess. But now that you're in the round of 16, now that's when you have to score, man. Especially if you get down to a team like the Netherlands, that's going to be something to watch. And again, it's a very young team. Credit to the coaching staff and the players. But, it still leaves some lingering questions, moving forward. But today, we celebrate. They got out of the group. Not a lot of people were having a lot of confidence in them, especially with Wales and the way that Iran had been playing. So, shout out to them. They got out. But come Saturday, They gotta come through as well. So we'll see what happens.
I think it's worth noting though that, look, congratulations to the US obviously on getting out of the group, but at the same time, the only win within group play came against an Iran team that is emotionally in a very, very messy place in a way that I think none of us can really analyze that well. It's hard. It's hard to say what on earth is going through these Iranian players' minds, because at the end of the day, you had a serious candidate for this squad was arrested before the Wales game back in Iran. You have other cases as well whereby players' families are reportedly being threatened. It's a very, very messy World Cup for them. Ultimately, you got the goal, you managed to hang on there, but that's the only win you managed to get in group play. Look, you held against England. That was a decent result, to be fair there. You didn't get the win against Wales. In reality, getting out of that group, you probably should have gotten a better result against us. You didn't, because you didn't really show up for the second half. The question then becomes when that translates into something that's a much more difficult challenge, because, again, England, they're in group play. They were more just concerned about not losing that game in some ways, because if they'd have lost that game, they'd have been in a potential mess as well. Okay? The draw actually put them in a much better position whereby realistically they had to lose by how many goals to us? 4?
Yeah.
To not make it through.
And then
the draw was a good result for them as well. But now you're going to be facing an entirely different kind of challenge when you're coming up against the Netherlands, and a Netherlands side that haven't impressed all too much. They really struggled against Senegal.
Ecuador.
Ultimately, they didn't end up getting a win over Ecuador. I was there for that game. And to be perfectly frank, Ecuador looked a better side for large parts.
They should have won that one.
They should have advanced out of the group.
Yeah, Ecuador should. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But yeah, I'm happy that the U.S. got out of the group. Second place is not bad. Now you have an opportunity to make some history, basically, to beat a team like the Netherlands, which I think they're thoroughly beatable, and then they can move on further on the line. Let's take a look at Group B before we move on. England with 7 points, positive +7 on goal difference. U.S. with 5 points, positive 1. Goal difference, and then you have Iran with 3 points, and then Wales with 1 point. So before we kind of wrap up this Group B conversation, obviously, we have Owain here. He just got back from Qatar. What's the feeling after this World Cup for Wales? Obviously was not successful, did not maybe have the best performances today. I had both screens going on when we're over there at the Four Peaks draft, at the Four Peaks watch party. It looked like maybe the team had checked out. Do you feel like that was the case? Especially like someone like Gareth Bale, in my opinion, he only touched the ball once and then he was substituted.
Well, Gareth Bale was never there in this whole tournament. Let's be perfectly frank, right? It's an end of an era for Gareth Bale, end of it for Aaron Ramsey, realistically. Okay, they're two players that have carried Wales for many years, and while the players around them may, as a whole, be better for the team than, say, the 2016 players surrounding them were. The problem is that Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey are not at their peak. And that is the problem in a lot of ways. We also struggle just generally in the midfield. I feel as though Joe Allen, again, coming towards the end of his career, he's had some big injuries this year that really weakened Wales in the midfield, and there wasn't really the depth to replace them in the middle of the park. Looking forward now, it's going to be struggle. It's not going to be easy going into the next few years. But at the same time, Wales is, barring Qatar, the smallest country in this World Cup. And that has to be remembered, that Wales is, compared to most of these other teams here, a very small country. We made it through the qualifiers. We got to this point, despite the fact that Wales haven't qualified prior to this for 64 years. It's been a long, long time coming. And look, is it disappointing the way that it finished? Yes, of course it is. Yeah. Of course, you'd have hoped that Wales would have gotten some better results in there, maybe gotten the win against Iran. It didn't happen. Maybe gotten more against the US than they did. Again, it was on the table for Wales in that second half. Don't get me wrong, the US could have run away with it by the break. They didn't. They left it up for Wales to take it, and Wales, quite frankly, could have taken it in that second half. It wouldn't have been unrealistic for that to have happened. So yes, it's disappointing in that sense. At the same time, just getting to a tournament like this, being able to be there at the World Cup for the first time since 1958 is a massive achievement. And that's why, when I made that comment earlier about the US is always looking for narratives to sell it as though this is big, you hear that kind of stuff. The US hasn't been there for 8 years. Yes, you missed the last World Cup. That's not that much of a narrative. Yeah. You look at some of the other narratives, they're just not. The storylines aren't really there. This is a young US team that has something to go on to. Wales had a much deeper storyline behind it.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree to some respects in that conversation, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Wales moving forward. Obviously, the field's going to be expanded for 2026, so you probably won't have the 64-year wait again to see Wales in the World Cup. But
we'll see. We'll see. It's not going up by that much in UEFA.
Yeah, for sure. Before we move on, let's take a look at our DraftKings King of the Game for this matchup that we had today. It had to be Captain America, man. It had to be. I know maybe that's not the best picture for him today.
I mean, also you get the two team doctors with a little cameo in there. And
he's like, ooh.
Chris Bentley, ooh. It sounds like it's like Shane.
To be fair,
introing into the best show.
It kind of matches Christian Pulisic though, because look, to be fair, today he was actually injured. But I swear in that Wales game, if the guy had flapped more, it would have been a bird. Like he was waving his arms around like there was no.
This is what we missed.
Yeah, he was complaining a bit. I agree, but yeah, Christian.
It's like he'd been sat on the bench for so long at Chelsea that he thought that sitting down during a game was the natural stance. But today, yes, a big goal for him.
He's a very interesting, and in many ways, in this point of his career, he's a polarizing player where he is, in many ways, Captain America. He's the guy that people look to. He is, in most people's eyes, if not the best player on the U.S. team, at least the most recognizable and the guy, right? Yeah. We've talked about how Gio Reyna, like, we think is the most talented. There are other guys who are maybe like a Brendan Aronson or a Tyler Adams who are playing at a similar level, like Premier League wise, but they are performing more consistently. And we can get into all that in another conversation. But by and large, the casual fan, Christian Pulisic is the guy for the US. And it's not saying that he hasn't come through, but he hasn't had that defining, like, we need a win. We need to go through. Can you be the guy to make it happen? He hasn't been that guy. And he put the team on his back and in some ways his front, if you saw the game and how it unfolded. But no, it was a beautiful build-up play into that goal. Weston McKennie with a ball from deep into Serginho Dest, who one times a header, which is incredibly difficult to do from that angle, into Christian Pulisic, who he laid out. He made it happen. We talk about Christian as this finesse dribbler who is, he takes shots and he scores some goals here and there, but he isn't really that physical presence. And he made it happen. He literally put his body on the line. Like, listen, we expect things to happen from these big players. But when you deliver in that moment with the gravity of the situation, needing a win, it's who you rely on. And the fact that he makes that happen in the first half, it's all you can ask for from your pseudo-captain, but in arguably your best player, not just on this team, but in a lot of people's eyes, and again, maybe more casual fans, the most promising player in U.S. soccer history. That's not a stretch. Again, there might be other people who have more talent, but if you're talking about people from a global perspective who, when you think of U.S., you're only going to think of Christian Pulisic first and foremost. He delivered. He does what he needs to do.
Serious question, though, here, and I want to throw it over to the chat. Pat Moses here saying that Adams is the true Captain America, does everything. Here's the question. Why is Pulisic Captain America? Seriously, why do you guys call him that?
Because he's LeBron James of soccer.
I think ignoring that nonsense.
Personally, I think it's branding. Like when we, it was so interesting how during qualifying, Adams is the captain. Walker Zimmerman's the captain. Christian Pulisic is the captain. My mind, without a doubt, Tyler Adams is without a doubt our captain. Don't disagree with that. He is the heart of this team. The heart of this team, no doubt about it. He was everywhere today. Amazing performance. I tweeted out 70% of the earth is covered by water. The remaining 30% is covered by Tyler Adams.
That's original, Max. That's really original.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I come up with myself.
A hater today. I know, goodness.
He is.
It'll get worse. I should have heard us in the car coming back here.
It was brutal. That's why I miss this guy. No, but when we talk about Captain America, I think he gets that branding because of his pedigree, the fact that he came from the Dortmund system at such a young age, the fact that he signed for Chelsea for this record transfer.
Yeah,
I call him Captain America. I don't think he's going to he doesn't deserve, in my mind, to be captain because Tyler Adams has nailed down that spot. But it's almost like a moniker because of the status that he fairly or unfairly has conjured up because of his play and everything like that. I mean, that's true. I mean, I agree. I think U.S. soccer leans into it.
No, and I agree with it because he was one of the young new faces, back after Landon Donovan was done playing, Clint Dempsey, Michael Bradley, the faces of the U.S. soccer for a very long time. You have this fresh new face who was in Germany playing at the time, like you're saying. And then once he got the transfer to Chelsea, you're going to lean into it a little bit more. So I don't think anybody who says he's Captain America is saying, he's our best player.
No.
But it's he's kind of like the figurehead, I would say, of this team.
Like, I mean, if you look at the promotional and the market materials, like, again, I think it's a different scenario where other country, and again, like, this kind of goes back to, like, Wales, you guys are like a from a population standpoint small, but like this is everything to you guys, and I love that. I really do. We're all, I think, football and soccer romantics at heart. I think that's amazing. I would love for this country to get to that place, but we also understand that in America, there's a lot of other sports to choose from, and a lot of people are casual soccer fans who tune in either for the big games or for the World Cup once every couple years. Those fans, if you ask them to name a couple U.S. players, I don't know if they can.
They're not going to say Tyler Adams.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why he is on the branding for everything. Yeah. If you're going to say name one U.S. player, 95% of people are going to say Christian Pulisic because that's just how he's promoted. That's how he's brought up within the Premier League, within the European system. With the fact that he was there last time we failed to qualify back in 2017 in Trinidad. Like, it's whether it's justified or unjustified, he has been that figurehead or symbol for U.S. soccer for years. And I think that's just kind of part of his aura where it's been built up over time.
Yeah. Reading a tweet here saying the U.S. is leaving the group stages with 5 points and the youngest starting 11 in the tournament. That's amazing. Moving forward, it's a great, group that the U.S. will have. And only good things can continue to happen. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
My last note on just kind of getting out of this group, I said before we started this whole thing that I think 4 points was going to get us through. We finished with 5. I didn't think the group would shape out quite this way with Iran coming out in third place. But, I mean, listen, when I go into this group, I think draw against Wales, lose against England, win against Iran. You get kind of a bonus point in there. Again, I think our play overall was stellar. Needs to find that clinical finish in the final third, but it's what you ask for. Greg Berhalter, during his entire tenure, he kind of broke out the whole, hey, we're going to play out the back, we're going to be more methodical, we're going to really go for the long term, and we're going to play our young guys. And a lot of the times they suffered in the short term, and it was a brutal slog in a way to get to this World Cup. But when it needed to come through, all of his teachings where you need to break down a low block, he made it happen. And I mean, listen, there's a lot more games to play. This 2022 World Cup is not it. Greg Berhalter, there's a very darn good chance he's not our manager for 2026. But when you need to get it done, it's just very poetic, I guess, in a sense that his teachings and he's the guy that gets you through when you need him most after everything we've seen in this last 4 years.
You know what? Moving on towards another topic, I'm sure that we can say there's a greater chance that Greg Berhalter's still in the role than a certain other manager come 2026.
Yeah, for sure. Let's take a quick look at the lines for the U.S. versus Netherlands game. We're going to talk about Mexico for sure. they're playing tomorrow. But we already have the lines for the U.S. versus Netherlands game on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. If you guys haven't downloaded it, make sure to do so. The World Cup is more than halfway over now with this last game, so it's gonna be ending pretty soon, guys. So make sure to download it, get your picks in. But the lines for the game on Saturday at 8 a.m. It's gonna be an early riser.
Too early for me. Too early.
We got the Netherlands favored -115 on the money line, and then you have a draw for +250. And then the U.S. for +330. I don't think that's that bad. If anything, I put in $20 right now on the U.S. and I think they can do it.
I mean, that's the beautiful chaos of World Cup. Is listen, anything can happen in the group stage. We've already seen that these games are not played on paper. There's a lot of upsets. People are moving on when they shouldn't have been. People are not moving on where they should have been. And it's just kind of crazy how, especially when you get to the knockout stages, literally anything could happen. I think the Netherlands are a more talented team. They are more clinical, especially in that final third. But it doesn't matter, especially at those odds where that's actually not egregious. I also find it hilarious that there's the draw written in there, but hey, it does not matter. The group stage is literally a crapshoot in the World Cup. This is why we love this sport.
To be clear on those odds, by the way, in case anyone's wondering, those are the odds at 90 minutes. So it's after the end of regular time before they move into extra time if needed.
And to advance, -235 for the Netherlands and then +175 for USA.
The U.S. loves bringing it into extra time. The last 2 World Cups they played in, when they went to the round of 16, they do go into extra time. So
was it Belgium and Ghana?
Yeah, it was Belgium, and then 2 years later, someone else beat Belgium in a knockout game, didn't they?
Yes.
But yeah, make sure to download. Minutes. Yeah, exactly. So make sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, guys. And when you do, make sure to use the code PHNX to get your bets in. And remember, minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. Make sure to check out the show notes for more details. And also, I'm looking. Where's Chris's comment? Did it leave? It's somewhere here. There you go. We just tweeted it out, right, Max? That if you haven't been joining us at the Four Peaks watch-alongs and the watch parties over there, make sure to make it on Saturday. The U.S. faces the Netherlands at 8 a.m. We're going to be there at Four Peaks.
We're going to be there.
And I heard Owen's buying beers. That's what I heard.
That's what I heard. Wow,
yeah.
who tweeted?
I didn't hear
Someone
anything.
tweeted
How
that.
did I get
on
tweeted out
Twitter,
from the
so it must
account?
be
Oh my
real.
gosh, it must be real. I mean, if people are tweeting that, I'm going to give out beers. Oh my
See, I'm
goodness.
not daft enough to give you something to clip.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so yes, kickoff at 8 a.m. Join us at Four Peaks starting at 7:30 because we are going to be having a great time. We've already done all 3 of the U.S. World Cup watch parties. Mexico tomorrow. I was nervous.
Mexico tomorrow?
Mexico versus Saudi Arabia tomorrow. I was chopping on my fingernails today. You're going to be doing that tomorrow, but it's been an amazing, amazing time. Wonderful atmosphere. It's been absolutely packed. every single time. But join us on Saturday. Again, bright and early. We get it, but like, what are you going to do? You're going to roll up out of bed and maybe go on your couch and watch it by yourself? No, you're going to come watch it with us and just have a darn good time. Again, Four Peaks, 7:30 at Saturday morning, kickoff at 8 a.m., $3 beer specials. And hey, Owen said he's buying beers, but you know what? I
said nothing of the sort.
But tell you what, maybe if you show up there early, I might, maybe I'll buy a round or two.
So I tell you what, there is talk that maybe beers may be bought. And I'm hearing that if you want to redeem your beers, you tell the server that they have to be put on the tab of a Max
Simpson. Yeah, Max.
Max.
Oh, Devin,
Simpson.
that's really nice. You get to see the three go to Ramon, Max, and Owen. Oh, that's
Rumor
really
has
nice.
it we
Thank
may
you.
even have a special guest tomorrow for the Mexican game. A big special guest at that. So
Someone
head
that
on
can
out.
see me
Please
break down tomorrow.
join us for the game tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. And thank you to Four Peaks. I know their waiters have been, working these games and everybody, the staff there, the servers, absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for all that
covering
you
more
do.
ground than Tyler Adams, these World Cup matches,
Exactly.
I swear.
There was that one U.S. game, there was like...
U.S. versus England. That was insane.
Insane. They got everybody covered, all the beers, everything was great. And so if you can make it out on Saturday, make sure to do so. It's going to be an amazing time.
Don't remember, PHNX here. We take you out better than Walker Zimmerman. I knew they'd enjoy that. I knew they'd enjoy that.
I didn't know where I was going with that. That was good. That was good.
All right, guys, let's pivot. We did have some games earlier today. We had Ecuador lose against Senegal 2-1. That was a rough game to watch. Ecuador, I felt like we're having a great World Cup so far, but we're not able to get it done. They literally just needed a draw to get to the round of 16, but Senegal with a late Koulibaly goal was able to push them forward. And I'm glad, I'm glad to see an African team make it as well, especially since a lot of the people were writing them off because Sadio Mane was not part of this team for the World Cup. So I'm glad to see it, but I'm also kind of sad to see Ecuador leave. And then, of course, Qatar leaves the tournament having no goals scored and lose
Rumor
to the
has it, by the
Netherlands
way,
2-0.
that if anybody has any Senegal flags, please mail them directly to the PHNX studio because they may have some use on Sunday.
Ooh. It's going to be interesting.
Namely, I might need them.
But yeah, so Group A finishes with Netherlands up top. Senegal goes in as number 2, Ecuador number 3, and then Qatar number 4. I think that's a lot of people's predictions for this group. Is that correct?
I mean, I think on paper,
Yeah.
when you look at these teams, you think Netherlands getting out for sure, and then it was more or less, I don't want to say a toss-up, but you think Senegal is going to get through. You then see the Sadio Mane injury, and you're thinking, okay, maybe it's a bit closer. I still hold by that even in this last game, Ecuador was, I think, the more fun team to watch. They were the more attacking team, and the results speak for themselves, but they, in my mind, were the team who I think they deserved it more. But again, it doesn't matter because in that last match, Senegal tops them. Ecuador is going out. I think this group kind of shaped out. I was looking for Qatar. We talked about it earlier.
Get a draw or something.
We saw them in the World Cup. The fact that they literally lost every single group match. They were the first team in history
team.
No. The second one to not get out of their group as a host country, but the first one to lose their opening match.
That's a limited span, though. You're only talking about 11 that played, I think, the home opener.
Still pretty rough.
It's a limited number, and even then, not all of them won that game.
No, for sure. Again, we're not talking about wins or draws. We're talking about straight out loss. I get it. We saw this team in the Gold Cup last year. At the very least, we're thinking it's going to be competitive, maybe a draw here or there. I just didn't think it was going to be that quite of a showing.
No, it was.
I still figured they were going to get 3rd or 4th. I mean, I didn't pick them to get out of the group, unlike this guy. But it happens. When you look at this team on paper, Netherlands, going to be tough. Senegal, they still have a lot of players. Koulibaly, you got Edouard Mendy. Like, they have the talent there. We'll see what happens. But I really think it's, in a bit of a way, a renaissance for a lot of these AFCON teams and African teams because it is like amazing.
And they're the current AFCON
So
champion, so it's not for no reason. So it's gonna be interesting.
You let him take a shot and you didn't respond back?
No, I think he's.
I'm fine.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
good.
he's
I'm good.
brewing.
He's out of it.
I'm
He's
good.
still got that
It's
jet
okay.
lag.
I'll just bring it back when Belgium don't make it out the group, which is actually a really legitimate.
Yeah, that's
chance.
very possible.
He had them
Belgium
down as
team.
dark horses. and
At least they're not out yet. Give me another day.
they lost
Belgium
2-0 to
team.
Morocco.
Morocco's pretty
Again,
good.
Moroccan teams are looking great right
I
now.
know Morocco are looking really good. They got a good fan base there. Makes a lot of noise in those grounds. I did get to see Morocco there. That was a fun game. A lot of noise they brought, but
For sure.
Yeah.
So remember, guys. So the U.S. will face off the Netherlands December 3rd, this Saturday at 8 a.m. And then on Sunday, December 4th, 12 p.m. England versus Senegal. And that's the first kind of little pairings that we have for the round of 16. So we're not going to talk about tomorrow because Mexico plays tomorrow, and I don't want to cry. So let's just cut it. No, all right. Yes, the famous Group C is going to be playing tomorrow, as well as Group D. Group D will actually go first. Tunisia will face off against France. That's going to be an interesting matchup. We'll see if France can get 3 wins in a row in their group stage, and then Australia versus Denmark. So that one's going to be one to watch, of course, to see who makes it out. I believe second place. So we'll see. But Group C, Poland will face Argentina. Group C pretty open right now. Let's look at the standings really quickly. I have them here in front of me. Group C, Poland leads the way with 4 points, Argentina with 3, Saudi Arabia with 3, and then Mexico with 1. That's not a good look. But Mexico will face off against Saudi Arabia. A lot of things can happen in this group. Mexico needs a lot of help from Poland if they want to be a little bit more comfortable, or they got to score 4 goals and not give up any to Saudi Arabia. So, Owen, you were at the game over there in Qatar. Can Mexico make it out of the group, man? Is that something that's realistic, or should we kind of just wait until 2026?
They can't score.
They are one of 3 teams who has not scored through 2 group stage matches. Can you name the other 2?
Uruguay
Qatar.
and
No,
Korea.
Qatar scored. Nope, Korea scored.
Korea scored?
Yep,
Qatar scored.
Qatar scored.
Against who?
Tunisia.
Yes, they did.
What?
Who did they score against?
They scored 1 against Ecuador.
Interesting.
Ecuador?
Did they? No.
Yes.
No, they lost.
They scored.
2-0.
They scored 1 in their second match.
They
Yes,
lost 2-0.
No, they didn't.
I thought they did. Yeah.
No, they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking these up
Some
now.
fact
really
checking
suck if I
now.
get
No,
fact checked,
against
I'm wrong.
Really
Senegal.
good audio, guys.
Against Senegal. Against Senegal.
No. Yeah,
They did actually score a goal. You
Aha.
are correct.
There you
so
go.
they're one of 3.
It was Senegal.
Thank you.
They
Thank
scored
you,
1
Max.
goal against. You are correct.
Yes.
Oh, that
Yeah,
was
the
a busy
Mexican
day.
national team cannot score. This is something that we've seen the last 4 years that Tata Martino has been in charge. It's not a good look, man. You need to score at least once or twice like the U.S. did to get out of the group. And if they don't do it tomorrow, they're not getting out of the group.
You mean
But-
to tell me you can't get out of the group if you don't score?
I don't think so. In some cases, you can't.
It's a
But
rare case that ever happened.
Tata Martino has already said it in the press. He said he is not returning after this World Cup is finished to the Mexican national squad. So, good for him. He got his paycheck. He ruined this World Cup cycle. but yeah, man.
Also, all I was gonna say, also great PR move to say I'm leaving before you can get canned. Like, also very smart.
You
Yeah.
can't fire me. I quit.
Boom.
Power move, if you ask me. But it's going to be really tough tomorrow. I'm hoping Poland can do something. I don't know if they will. They looked okay in their last game, but it's just I think Argentina, now that they kind of got that shock in the first game, that the wheels are turning. Now Messi's has it going on. The rest of the team is catching on, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to stop them at least until the final. So we'll see. If Poland can do Mexico solid, I'd appreciate it. But I don't know if Mexico can do it on there.
But again, if Argentina wins, and if they win by a couple goals, that's also in your favor. I mean, I think Argentina Poland is going to be weirdly closer than we
it's
suspect.
going to be like a 1-0, right? That's what I feel.
I think so, because Argentina, for their 2-0 win to Mexico, I think that just says more about how Mexico is playing than Argentina is. Frankly, they're kind of still trying to turn the gears. They didn't score until late, and it was like their XG that game, I think it was they scored 2 goals, but it was 0.26
Yeah, it was really low.
XG, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah.
It was just from absurd shots and angles. It was Messi doing Messi things, and then an absolutely absurd upper V from an impossible angle. I don't think Argentina has it all figured out. And against a Poland team who they love to sit back, who they love to play,
They wanna counter.
let's call it what it is. It's boring as hell to watch soccer, but if that's all they need is, hey, we're happy with a draw, we go through. Why not?
Well, Max, question here. We've gone through Iran. Can you tell me who is Poland's main striker? Who's the big guy up top?
I mean, unless
Louis.
How do you say the name?
Oh no!
Don't do that. Come
How
on.
do you say the name, boys? How do you do it?
Lewandowski.
It's Lewandowski.
That's what I said. Yeah,
That's what I heard.
That's what I
Yeah,
heard.
that's
yeah.
what I heard. So no
you were
problems
close.
there.
You were close. I'll give you close.
I mean, as long as Bobby's not in the chat hitting me up again, my
Bobby
apologies.
will be in the chat. So
Oh yeah,
I know
Bobby
we
was
will.
saying that. I messed
I'm
up.
doing the best I can.
Bobby,
All right,
trying
come on,
over here.
come on,
Please join
come
us tomorrow,
on.
Bobby.
It's an effort.
But yeah, so this Group C is pretty open, but whoever ends up in second place will get the honor of facing France in the round of 16. So whoever ends up number 2, it's not gonna look that great moving forward. But very open group, and this was all because of Saudi Arabia. This is a team that surprised many. I think everybody in the first game against Argentina, getting that 2-1 victory had me, screaming at 3 a.m. in my apartment. So definitely some good memories there. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. And if you're able to make it, we're gonna be at Four Peaks as well tomorrow for this Mexico-Saudi Arabia game, 12 p.m. We'll be there early to kind of get the jitters off a little bit.
Drink.
And I'll be drinking for sure. But yeah,
He'll be drowning his sorrows on the end there, poor Ramon.
Coasters in this damn office, and neither of you use one.
Where are they?
Yeah, name me
Posters?
one coaster.
Over there.
Oh, I got mine here.
They're
Oh,
not
there.
really-
I'm sorry, y'all. Go ahead. Here you go.
Thank
You want to
you.
get the more
Appreciate
furniture,
it.
with some circles, yeah.
People don't give me one.
Chuck that one.
Oh my!
Oh,
God!
shoot.
Ah!
You look like Gambit
Right to
out
my
there.
heart, but not like the U.S. because we come through.
USA.
See what I did there? Nice
Cut his
transition.
mic, please.
Yeah, this has been great, guys. So it's glad to I'm glad to
I've
have
not
Owain
heard
back.
anything this cringy since Alexi Lalas.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, that's
the guy was getting booed on the.
He was.
Did you
Yeah,
see him when they shut him on
saw a
the.
little goatee and the U.S. fans, and yeah, that got a big old boo.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, speaking of OGs, thank you, Pat. If you guys haven't yet, make sure to buy it online, ogsbrands.com. They got great flavors. I'm certainly gonna need some because it's so stressful, man. I tell Max after the games, I'm just like mentally drained, dude, and I need a whole day to recover. But OGs gets the job done, gets me to calm down and relax and take on the day, the next day. So shout out to OGs, and yeah, it's gonna be a great time.
Devon wants some Wales talk.
Oh no!
Can you do it? Can you do it in a thick Welsh accent?
I'm not doing it.
I don't think I've ever heard
Come on.
it.
I'm not putting this on for you.
Come
I'm not putting this on for you.
on.
I'm not putting stuff on for you.
Come on.
Yeah, he wants diversity.
God, I haven't
Come
heard
on.
this much whining since Christian Pulisic in the first game.
Oh, boo.
Hey, Owen, how'd you say his name?
Wells talk.
Hey man, Christian
I
balls
don't know,
out.
but he didn't get it right either. So I mean,
Little Pulisic update. He's actually in the hospital. I just showed Max over here. He's in the hospital getting some scans. He looks all right. Should be fine, I feel, for the next game. But
he's probably
we'll
on
see.
quite a few drugs there, I'd imagine.
Maybe. Yeah, he looks really
He's
happy.
in the hospital for that, you'd have thought.
They
so.
did some scans. I'm trying to find the picture here, but
I don't want to see a
I don't-
picture.
yeah,
I'll be honest, Ramon, I don't want to see a picture of that. But anyway, let's talk Wales then, since they're going off looking for pictures of whatever
There we go.
Christian
For
Pulisic's got
research.
wrong with him.
For
For
professionals.
research purposes, all right?
Professionals,
Okay, great. Research. Yeah, it was an interesting one. Bale coming off at halftime. I think it's tantamount to the fact that he didn't really do much all tournament. People were always looking for him to be the difference maker. He never really was in these games. Yes, he's the only player who scored a goal there. He got it from the spot. It was ultimately gifted to him by an atrocious tackle that didn't really leave the referee with any option other than to point to the spot really there. I think that in the midst of that, the fact that he probably wasn't as fully fit as he could have been, you get into a point whereby can he play 3 games in the space of a week? I'm not sure that he was capable of. Rob Page obviously decided that he didn't have the ability to do so. Hey, well, we'll
There
see.
we go.
I know that Gareth Bale did say, and the picture's coming apparently of
is it on the actual one? No, not yet.
No,
Okay.
not yet, but it's coming of a certain American player. But yeah, Bale said it wasn't his last game for Wales. We'll see. He could well just get a send off in a friendly. We don't know what will happen down the line, but to me, it's the last time we see a meaningful game in which the fans are truly pulling for Gareth Bale to be the difference maker for Wales. I think that period of his career, at the very least,
that has to
gone.
be disappointing, though, right? Like even the pregame press conference, they're like, "Is there a lot of pressure for you?" And he's just flat out said, "No, there's no pressure from my end."
He's always been that person in press conferences, though. I don't think you can read much into that. I mean, this is a guy who said in Euro 2016 ahead of playing the English, how many English players are getting the Welsh team? And he just sat there laughing and said none. Okay, right? That's always been him.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was him at his peak when he was putting everything on the line for Wales and he scored in that game. But look, I just feel as though we've kind of reached the end for him, unfortunately. It's been a really good run. He's been one of the best players that we've ever had. And you've got to appreciate everything that he did to get us to these positions. But now looking forward, we have to start seriously thinking about a future without Gareth Bale.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. It wasn't, I think getting to the World Cup was a big achievement, but I feel everybody was kind of pulling for them to do a little bit more while they were there, and it just didn't happen this time. But we'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward. How are they shaping up to the Euros? It's happening a couple of years, right? Or
yeah, Euro 2024 in Germany, I believe. Germany. So actually not a bad one. Let me pull the group up now. For whatever reason, I've got the right group. Yes, it is. We're in a group with Croatia, Armenia, Turkey, and Latvia, of which 2 of those teams will qualify directly into the finals tournament. Is it a doable group? Very much so. You'd imagine that Croatia probably qualify out of there. With Armenia and Latvia in the group as well, you're probably talking then of Wales or Turkey to get into the finals tournament out of that. There is still, of course, a possibility at some point for playoffs. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, there are 2 places up for grabs in there, and we'll have to see. We'll have to see. It gets underway in March, the qualifiers for that tournament.
Oh man, well, we'll keep an eye on that. Make sure to check us out on our Twitter account, PHNX__rising. We'll keep you updated with all the stuff that's happening during the World Cup and moving forward. We'll see if we can see what happens with Wales. Oh man, what a day! Long day.
Do you want to see this photo?
Yeah, let's check it out. Let's check it out. There we go. Yeah, we got Christian Pulisic here in the hospital. What is he saying? So effing proud. I can cuss, right? So fucking proud of my guys. I'll be ready Saturday. Don't worry. So yeah, he looks good. He looks in good spirits. So how do you feel about
after seeing that? Is that the drugs or is that him talking?
Prayer emoji, prayer emoji, prayer emoji, prayer emoji, heart emojis. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's interesting, like the fact that he had to go off. You're maybe just saving it. Like that's just a ballsy thing that you're gonna. Didn't even try, but it is ballsy. Wasn't even trying.
Please tell me.
Jacob is giving me the glare.
Let's wrap it up,
it's already in the headline. You already know.
Land the plane.
All right.
So
Yeah. Land the plane. You already know where I was. You already know.
Post headline.
You already know where I was going with it. It is a very gutsy decision to leave the game and saying you're already going to be able to play on Saturday. Let's see if it happens.
Yes, sir. We'll see what happens, and we'll also see what happens tomorrow. Hopefully, when you guys see me here tomorrow, I'm not bawling and crying and I'm celebrating like my friend Max here. But yeah, we will be over there at 4 Peaks. If you guys can make it, make sure to do so. 12 p.m. start for the Mexico versus Saudi Arabia game. Of course, yes, sir.
Can I get the last line in?
Go for it.
Yes.
Despite everything that's happened in this one, ergwaitha pawb a phob pefriniama o hyd.
I think so. Yes, of course.
Yeah, unless that's against me, then yeah. No, but actually, I'm not going to let you give the last line. No, we are happy to have you back.
I'm going to say it again if you don't let me have the last line.
That's fine. You can say it again. We are happy to have Owain back. Look forward in the next, I would say, week or two. We got a lot of U.S. action, Mexico action. We want to really do like a nice deep dive of everything you experienced at the World Cup because that's freaking cool that you got to do that. So look forward to some more content and shows.
Was that parcel tongue?
Parcel tongue? Excuse you.
No, I'm just kidding.
Ergwaitha pawb a phob pefriniama o hyd.
Sure. All right, we'll wrap it up. Thanks, Owen. Thanks, Mac. We will see you tomorrow. Until then, take care. Have a great day.
Riniama o hyd.